Bienvenidos nuevamente a este programa donde hablamos con grandes figuras de la música electrónica nacional e internacional, y hoy día tengo un gran honor de presentar en este estudio a una persona que conocí hace muchos años, cuando por primera vez, por ahí por los años 98, 99, le pude hacer un warm-up en una fiesta de Street Machine en Estación Mapocho, y luego tuve el privilegio de repetir ese warm-up en una fiesta que se hizo en Ciudad Empresarial con la gente de Pandora, si no mal no recuerdo, con nuestro amigo Felipe Villarroel. Estoy acá hoy día, esta tarde, esta noche, con John Aquaviva. Hi, John.
Hola, un placer. Gracias por la invitación. Feliz de hablar contigo y vosotros.
Muy bien.
Bueno.
So today we will make the interview in English. Spanglish, okay.
Cuando puede, pero mi memoria es mejor en inglés.
Perfect. If you want to switch to Spanish or whatever you do want to do, it's perfect.
Bien.
So first of all, thank you for being here, and I'm so happy to introduce you as my friend right now, because we have meet. I mean, a few years ago when I started, I made a warm up for you in a party in Santiago. Then really we didn't connect, but life is magic. Life has give us the gift to meet deeply and be. I mean, for the last 2.5 months or maybe more, I have received the gift of your friendship, and I'm super I appreciate that, and I'm super glad to introduce you like a friend tonight.
And such a pleasure, because it really, and I think we're going to speak about this, you know, coming to Chile after all these years. In many countries I go for different generations, and really another friend, you know, Felipe, of course, doing projects with him, but Capitan Cianuro, I think the whole of Chile celebrating Euphoria really made me connect all of the generations, because, you know, I've always been kind of busy, and I joke I'm kind of an older man, and I never remember the first time, because of course I've done so many parties, and of course we met, but I don't remember. I kind of remember the party, but it's funny when I connect and like, remember the first time we met, and now we're closer because of the book, the projects we do. So it's a perfect conversation to talk about the different memories. But Chile is very special for that. But I think we'll speak a bit later. But
sure.
But it's a great time after really 30 years for me, and many of my friends I've known, but now I really understand who each group and who each generation thinks because of my other friends, because my memories are specific in particular, you know?
Yeah, well, when we were having lunch a few minutes ago, we spoke about what we can speak right now. And, but now that you mention it, well, one of the maybe key points in the Chilean electronic music history is that you were here for, or you're supposed to be in the lineup of the Eclipse in Putre in 1992. 93, 94.
Sí.
So
Noviembre.
So that's maybe the first time we hear your name in a Chilean lineup in a party that's like weird, because it's like it has a lot of, it's more a legend than something that really.
Y eres la vuelta de Ricardo, se le entiende bien, porque la semana después estuve en Santiago al discoteca Oz con, me parece, la vuelta de Ricardo Villalobos.
Sí, claro.
Y eso que no lo sabe, you never know in the moment what's happening, but these moments were very special, and it's so nice to have been part of that because of the friendships I had with many of the artists in Germany, working with Ricardo as a promoter, you know, sleeping at his house, and then the Germans at the Love Parade, all the very interesting, but I think important context, because when you look back in history, there are people who had a passion, who did crazy things, but wow, like art. It was crazy, but it was actually not crazy. It was like very inspirational and original. And those moments are nice to reflect on. And now we continuing to do the best, enjoy life.
I agree with you. It's like, it's when, you know what, I don't know, people when they see what we did with for the collective in the 90s, sometimes you can really see the impact of it, because when you were doing those kind of parties and try to produce those events, you were like fucking stressed. I mean, it's something that you really don't enjoy it. Okay, so don't try to do that kind of parties, because it's super stressed. I mean, you receive a lot of love, maybe commitments, but if somebody when I am in the streets and people said to me, hey, why don't you do the party again? No way, it's impossible. But the thing is, you were in the 90s here, maybe in some way you played a week later of the original party that you're supposed to be there in Oz discotheque, which is like a really important player in the electronic music scene in Chile. But we can relate you with the Canadian scene and also with the Detroit scene, and maybe we will get in deep with the Chilean connection. But right now, I want to refresh people, and maybe you can give us how did this start that Italian, Canadian, Italian, with the heritage of Italy, came to Canada with your family, and then suddenly you become like one of the big names in electronic music.
Thank you. Es interesting. Empiezo en español. Qué suerte tengo yo que mi madre y padre, que nació en Italia, y emigramos en Canadá, una tierra de oportunidad. Soy muy, muy feliz por eso, porque me encanta, por ejemplo, Argentina y Venezuela, pero cuando la pienso, soy muy feliz que mi madre y padre van en Canadá, porque tengo oportunidad de escuela, de un país más agradable y correcto. So I always loved music. I had a chance to go to school. I did well in school. I'm the first in my generation to go to a school because I was born in a small village in Italy of 1,500 people. Wow. And so many people, you go to another country. But I always loved music. And so I was very successful at school, but I became a #1 national DJ in 1982. So a long time ago. That's why I'm a little bit gray. And then I was a disco DJ, I played everything. But then, as I got older, I bought a studio because I wanted to make music. Because the DJs with samplers and synthesizers, there was a chance to make music and express yourself. And so I bought a studio, and I was living in London, Ontario, between Toronto and Detroit. And I was playing records from Detroit. And I'm like, I have to go to Detroit. And I started buying records in Detroit in 1989. I met Derek May, Kevin Saunderson. The first person I met was Richie Hawtin. But within 2 visits, I met everybody. And I was so inspired by the success. Detroit is not a rich city, but there's heart. The people of Detroit, again, it's not about, you just do it. Like you do the party. You're just like, I'm going to make a record and hopefully the world will find it. So I met Rich. I had a studio. I wanted to work with the guys, but I'm like, Rich, let's do our own label. I have the studio, let's do it. So we started Plus 8 Records in 1990. And
Thank you for that.
And the rest in a beautiful way. I mean, it was a struggle, but it was beautiful because we made records and people, I had a fax number and people were sending fax. I love your record. I want to license your record. I'm like, what a dream. So in 1990, we were some of the first people to be invited around the world.
Absolutely.
And that's like 4 years later, I'm the first to go to Chile. I was luckily one of the first to go to Colombia, many countries, because I love to travel. I'm not afraid. Me encanta viajar.
I know.
And so making the records, and the funny thing is I couldn't do the party in Arica porque Rich and I were hosting MTV Europe with Horst from Studio K7, another project that changed the world, X-Mix. We did the X-Mix, then Laurent Garnier did X-Mix after us, then Kenichi. X-Mix was amazing.
X-Mix was
another avant-garde. And my friend Horst, respect to Horst, he passed away this year, but another visionary. So in the 90s, it was really about crazy people with a vision, doing things and making an impact. So here I am, really, the world embraces us, which is thank you again, everybody. And we still, things are different, but we still have a passion for traveling, for music, for culture, for food, everything. Sure. That's why we travel. That's why we share. And so really those 4 years were, people welcomed me in Germany, German Chileans, here I was.
Yeah.
everywhere in the world. Spain. I mean, it was, I think, the same year that I played the second Sonar, I closed after a band called Orbital. I did the closing set, and Spain was like, we love John Aquaviva. So
after Orbital?
Yeah, I did the closing set. I was the invited, I used to be the headliner. And so in 1994, my life is like a rock and roll dream, headlining. And I still, I prefer now to tell small stories, but wow, the world was like, who are these crazy Plus A guys? I don't have to tell everyone that Richie Hawtin is still rather famous. We both do what we want, but it was the passion of being, sharing music. For me, it's not about being an icon. Rich is like the icon. Me, I like to do things with friends, and I like to be part of a project. And I appreciate being a very successful DJ, but I didn't do it to be famous. I did it to share and hopefully make some money from being invited.
That's something I want to pick, because most of the time I try to connect people with what's the major motor inside of you when you believe in something, and you have like a faith on what your capabilities are, and maybe you don't really are making a bet. It's like you have something inside of you that it's like a motivation machine that just let you do stuff. And you know why I want to connect with that? Because in those days with social media, trying
there was
to
no social media.
Well, the problem with social media, and this is something we were sharing on social media, is that people try to. I mean, people are trying to with social media. You are like stressed because
people try too hard, and it's not natural for me.
That's the point. I mean, it's not natural. People try to fit on a trend, or fit on a kind of visual identity, or maybe they try to show something that they really don't are. Maybe here I am eating this sushi, and then maybe that, but it's just an isolated image from something that maybe is not your real life. When we were kids, I mean, you.
I was never a kid.
Okay,
that's a joke.
But when you were young, I mean, you're still young, because I know that's not related with your age for sure. But the thing is,
sorry.
Sometimes there's something inside of you that have faith, and you just move. How was that in your beginnings? I mean, did you sometimes have, of course, some phase, but you did it because of what? Because of something that really moves you inside, or not?
Well, I was lucky that I come from masters of DJs, and they all worked in Toronto, and they were making. Even in the 80s, because Toronto was, my maestro in 1982 when I took over the bar, he went to Toronto, was making $2,500 a week. So even though I come from a poor family, I come from a school of DJs that were not poor, which allowed me to buy a studio. So I had the comfort, as I learned as a national DJ for 8 years, to understand what I'm doing as an artist. But my passion is being a creator. Not eating the same food every day. And if I have a hit, it's not because I'm going to do it again and again. I like to change. It's like when I saw a mountain, I tried to climb up the mountain, then I see another mountain, but I see it with friends. So I like to create with friends. If you have an idea, and we'll talk more in Chile, my friends have ideas. How can I be part? This is interesting. I want to support. I want to be part of. And traveling the world as you meet people. Hey, I'm a producer. Well, we have a label. Let's release your music. Speedy J from Holland sends music. Oh my God, I cannot believe this guy who's so talented sending me and Rich records. Kanishi from Japan. They're sending. Wow, the world wants to work with me, and so of course I'm going to do the label. So I like to create with people. And not just be the name on top. It's more, how can I press your record? Or how can I help write an intro to a book? Or be at a party. I can do an opening set. I can also do a closing set. Mm-hmm. I just want to be part of a concept, of an idea. Mm-hmm. So I'm a creator more than an icon. I don't do anything to be a star. But there's a satisfaction in working with people, understanding, traveling, but building and creating, and then sharing with the world. That's what art should be for me. Not only the money, but losing money does not allow you to be a successful artist, because then you're always, So for me, I tried to balance all of those things. part of a team player.
Well, you were saying that you like to connect with people and you like to share or maybe collaborate in some new project. And I can really, if you want to listen something, guys, okay. This is the secret pill that DJs...
Okay. People wonder about the secret life of DJs. So I don't know what this is, but I trust my friends. You know, at a party, I did not find this on the ground. No, okay, seriously, you heard me coughing, and so this is a cough drop. So, but we thought this would be a funny prop in a moment.
It is.
Watch me. It's clean. Not from. I'm going to take a pill.
This is the moment when you go behind coughing. The turntables and you try to
wait a minute. Okay,
so I was back
to the story.
So I can relate with this. It was funny, okay. So I can connect with this the thing you said because John is like now it's like the grandfather of the English version of the.
I like the words, my dear friend Senor. He called me padrino. This is better than abuelo. Okay, thank you for the compliment.
But it's like when we met a long time ago, but. You take this project serious and you put it further. I mean, you have helped to make this book available in Ibiza, in Europe, and you also wrote one of the main sections of the book, so you are part of it. And what motivates you to get in? I mean, to get involved because you saw a value there, you saw a history.
Well, at this point, I love my friends. I think it's not just to tell a story for your own sake, but to share a story, creating whether it's an event or art or music or a book. I think it's important for us who were there to share our thinking. What happened, lo bueno, lo malo. And it began, if I may step back. So, you know, in the 90s, we're having this success. And I love my label, and I bought a pressing plant, and I was helping people make records. But I mean, you know, there's more than just making records and parties. So, and I had a family. So in the daytime, I'm like, wow, you know, vinyl is good, but the world with the internet is changing. So I have to do more. It's like, what is the future of DJing going to be? We were kings of techno. I mean, Rich is the king of techno. And some people think I'm not techno, but my history, I think I have credibility for techno, but it's not the only thing I do, you know? And so I encountered the opportunity for Final Scratch. DJs, look, I love vinyls, but DJs should be playing digital files.
Sure.
And the internet was bad for music because everything was free. Artists cannot live with their work being free when you have to pay rent. So, I mean, how do we think this? The world could be better. The parties are huge. Everyone should not just celebrate, but, you know, share, compartir el success. So we discovered that technology, and Final Scratch became Tractor Scratch. Tractor became a very important company. So it was such a pleasure to work with people in the daytime and work on technologies. You know, Rich was, you know, we quickly made partnerships, you know, with the people who bought Allen and Heath. And Rich has been very, very active on making mixers in different ways. You know, people were not using filters until Rich did that. And I'm like, wow, we need to fix not just making a vinyl plant and distributing boxes of records via UPS, because the artist was not making money. They were never getting paid. So I'm like, okay, well, Napster is no good. So then we have this technology, but we launched Beatport. And Beatport, it's not like SoundCloud. It's not like Spotify. When we launched Beatport, sorry, question.
No.
I mean, I'm getting to.
I'm thinking. I mean, for the people that can really relate with the two important concept words that you mentioned in this last 2 minutes, Final Scratch. Made a huge change in the industry when we finally could use turntables to play digital music. And this is weird because, I mean, it's...
And I was a top DJ. Every record shop, if they had 3 records, me or Rich would get the record. The other DJs had to wait months, especially in South America. There's stories of DJs in South America going to Europe, paying one time a year to buy super expensive vinyls.
Super
and
expensive
Beatport,
vinyl.
you could pay €2,
Sure.
and the artist would get 50%.
So you're connected with the technology of Final Scratch, and then you become one of the partners or maybe the biggest investors for Beatport.
Yeah, we were the founders and the main investors, a handful.
So how can you? I mean, it's like. You have a special power seeing the future or what? Because this is crazy.
This is why Chile is so inspiring. So the first time I went to Valparaiso, maybe, I don't know, 6-7 years ago, I was dead. I was tired. But, I'm like, wow, I'm in this city and has amazing energy. And I'm like, I'm walking and I see a poem on the street. And the poem said, La vida es un sueño, no te duermas. This is my magic power. Because if I travel the world, I'm not going to spend all day in a hotel. Even if I'm dead, I'm going to walk and maybe find inspiration. And I'm like, I don't sleep because I love to be creative. I'm maybe kind of nervous because my mind is always racing, but that's my inspiration, I love sharing stories, examples, and making things, So Chile really... When I found those words, people are like, what's your power? Well, I'm so excited. I'm kind of like a little boy going, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And it's a pleasure. I learned that when I had kids. If I was partying all night and my kid, I come home and my kid wants to play with dad, I'm not going to, I'm going to wake up because I want to enjoy the company of my kid. And so I can complain or I can find a positive attitude to enjoying my kids, to doing a project. A DJ like, I was on health pills all weekend and I'm sleeping because I'm tired. But you forget your family. Why did you have, I took these things seriously. I want to finish a project. I wanted my kids. And so I found the time because I cannot complain that I travel the world and people pay me to travel the world. What a dream. Es un sueño. That's my motivation to staying out.
I hear you and you sound absolutely grateful of everything. And you don't want to waste time sleeping because you want to discover some stuff.
Yeah.
So you mentioned two things that in a metaphysical way are related to something that universe is giving you synchronicity. If you are grateful and you are open to discover stuff and to search and try to go beyond what another room can offer you, and just maybe those things came to you because you were the person that could maybe understand what was behind.
Well, it gets better. Just when you think you know the answer changes. But I've learned now. When my friends go to sleep from parties, I go play sports, and then I'll go do my business because I have all groups that inspire me. So I've learned to get energy and give energy. And it doesn't always have to be happy energy. Many people are like, I just want to live my best life. I just want to be happy. Happiness comes from, same with sports. If you're good at sports, you have to train, even if you're a genius. You have to train and you have to work. And then you can enjoy your moments. Otherwise, it's like going to the gym, walking for 10 minutes and go, wow, I'm fit. And then you go have 6 beers. Or, you don't pay attention to your kids or your bills, but you go party, you get fucked up, and then you have no money because you don't pay your bills, but you're going to go party. This is not a balance for me. But I am happy to be responsible, but I'm also happy and I enjoy life. We've had some great moments together. Sure. And we may not sleep, but man, we've done some great work. But boy, do we have good moments. And this is the reward for a bit of work, a bit of training. That's sort of the way I explain it. And it's not a philosophy. It's just the thing that I learned to not... Well, I like to complain off camera, but mostly I really like to inspire and to share. Not everyone can do it.
A sense of commitment with your life. You take it seriously.
If I make a promise,
Sometimes I hear people that say, "Hey, Carlos, you were last night like super wasted, maybe, or maybe you were in an after hour, super weird, crazy, whatever." And I said, "You know what? If you want to experience life, you have to give yourself the opportunity to know all your Carlos, and maybe later you can choose." Where you want to stay the most of the time, but it doesn't. If you close your doors to to I mean, the saint you have inside and the devil you have inside, you're wasting your time, because life is you have to see every kind of person you are.
Metaphorically, my devil is stronger than others, except I have a good friendship with all devils. I prefer to be good.
Sure.
It's nicer to be good, but and I can go out all night and I could drink a bottle of whiskey every day and play sports, but that's not the point. And so I pick my battles. And when people come at a party, hey, let's do, but it's controlling the devil. But boy, I know the devil. We're really good friends, and one of them's inside me. But the devil never wins. And when my friends are like, let's get fucked up. No. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. I have a flight. How do you miss your flight? No, I have another family to go to.
Sure.
But this is amazing. Where are your family? I have another family. I don't miss my flights because every day I do something, or I have a tennis match. I have to go, and so my devil will be controlled. And if I partied too much and I drank a bottle and a half of whiskey and I trained badly at tennis, I'm like, John, you're getting old. You should stop drinking a bottle of whiskey and maybe only half a bottle tonight. So I need to control my devils. But I love whiskey, and today, because I had the cough, we had a beautiful lunch, and I wanted to start with pisco sours and then maybe a bottle of wine. But I'm like, look, I have to fly.
But pisco sour is like a lemonade.
I know. So a lot of vitamin C. The devil in me wants to get drunk with my friends on a beautiful day, having anticuchos and vino tinto. But I'm like, okay, let's have some water.
Sure.
It's water, not whiskey. But
But maybe
small balance.
So you would pick your plane right now and you go straight to Barcelona, where Ibiza.
Yeah. And then we have
back with your family. What?
And then I go to Barcelona for 3 days, and then Sunday I go to Canada to visit my mother and father, who are getting old. So again, instead of I fly to have. Time.
But you can if you commit with what you said. I mean, it's like I want to be available for all the good stuff that
the
life
good
can
and the
give
bad.
me.
My parents are getting old.
Sure.
They're going to die soon. But why should my sister? I fly back. We're going to spend Semana Santa with my 92-year-old father, 86-year-old mother, and some people. I have lots of money. I'm going to pay someone to take my mother to lunch. No, I'm going to fly home and respect my mother and father for all of the sacrifices they made for me and my kids to go to Canada, and we had a good life. For me, respect of family and friends, keeping your word is gives me energy. It's good to be good instead of I'm famous, I'm tired, I don't want to travel. I can pay someone to take you shopping or to church. My mother goes to church.
When I listen to you, it gives me an idea of what your childhood was. Did they,
not easy,
but you respect your parents, and most of the people
eventually.
I mean, it's not easy.
Eventually.
I mean, it's not
now
easy.
I respect my parents.
Or maybe, you know what? I learned that you have to respect whatever they try to give you in the way they could. I mean, it's not easy to be a father.
There's a saying for people who make excuses. Some people, look, I had the same philosophy. I'm becoming successful and fuck where I come from, fuck this shit. I've now made it into the real world. But wait a minute, people use the rationalization. It's not wrong, but it's not. It's better than that. People start to think you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. Therefore, I hate my family because they're not my kind of people. Wait a minute. You have to always remember where you come from. It's easy when you become famous, like fuck my family, fuck my shitty little village. I now live in the top of the world. But I think that that's the wrong philosophy. It's a little bit arrogant and entitled, because you cannot forget who you are, because when you forget who you are, in many ways, you lose your metaphorical soul. So as much as it is to only go party with your friends, the pain, you cannot have catharsis, at least in my case, over whatever suffering or frustrations you had. I live in the house that I grew up in with my parents when I was a young teenager, becoming a successful DJ, but basically a poor student in a very working class family. My mother cleaned hotels, my father construction. So obviously my life has become better than that. So I was sometimes embarrassed, sometimes hated the life of an immigrant. But you know what? I go back before my parents die lately, and to respect the fact that we survived the struggle and we're in the best possible point in our lives. I have to respect my family for that. The people who say you don't choose your family, I urge you to rethink, because humanity is sometimes, it's not about running away, to the spa. It's sometimes going to see your mom and dad, and the conversation's not always nice, but that's life sometimes.
What's the destiny for the people who don't really respect their heritage?
No, you know what? There's nothing wrong, because we all have our philosophies and our rationalizations. For me, coming back to the simple reality, I think keeps me grounded. I mean,
well, but grounded means that you get empowered, because I think
it's kind of, I use the word catharsis, because whatever trauma you have, and we all have problems in our lives, whether it's relationships or failed, whatever. Not every project or every relationship works. So you can have trauma, or look, you can't work through everything, but you at least have to have some level of catharsis, addressing your issue. Offline, we all have personal lives, and we all have these issues. And my philosophy, I think, is consistent. Don't run away. Sometimes you're just like, okay, stop this shit. Like, stop something.
Don't run away.
But you still have to. You still have to have the focus to address your problem, and catharsis comes in dealing with that. Wow. So I think it's not easy, but for me, it's the full circle of acceptance and being realistic, as opposed to, emotional and dreaming. Running away, escapism, hedonism is not for me. I live in the eye of the hurricane. I live in parties, but parties are not my life. I love my intellectual life. I love my artistic life. I also don't want to party all the time. I'm very good at it, but I'm not the only,
It's a good advice for that person who ran away a few months ago.
Look, everyone has...
I'm relating it with my life.
Sure. No, but
for the past 2 months.
We all have situations, and there's no wrong way to deal with life. If you meet a wild animal, maybe it's good to run away or punch it in the nose. There's many realities, but some realities are better. I believe addressing the pure core reality is very important. But this is not a philosophical talk, but I'm happy to share the things that... It's not easy, but I feel strong, and I'm not afraid to show leadership. That's all part of, I make a promise and I want to do it, and I want to see the project come to reality. It's lovely to work with people who, I've got an idea for a book, or I've got a party, or I'm doing art, or we're going to do a project in the desert. Amazing. So all of these things, little by little, it never gets easier, but it's a lot of fun. I like living in reality.
I think you it's real. I mean, it's getting connected with creation, and we are the freaks. I mean,
and here's an example. Kind of moving to Chile. So I went to Detroit, and Detroit was like destroyed from riots in the 60s. Sounds familiar to a city called Valparaiso. I went to Berlin. Berlin, even in 1991 when I went, you could still feel all the bombs that fell in Berlin, Dresden. I love Valparaiso because it's not about being in the richest place on earth. I live in Ibiza, not bad. In a penthouse, not bad. However, the energy of something that's at the bottom. Detroit inspired music. And when I come to Chile, I see the best. I think Santiago, I remember Dusty Rose. Santiago is a wonderful city. Good and bad, but it's like a little bit like Toronto. Sometimes I tell people, what's Chile like? Chile's like Canada of South America. It's more correct. I feel safe for business. Look, I go to funky places. Valparaiso for many people is not safe. But you know what? We all talk about the dreams of raves in Berlin and Detroit. Valparaiso gives me the same energy. I'm not afraid of Valparaiso. I'm not afraid that, if we're there, let's make it better. I'm not worried. I'm not here to destroy. I'm here to bring things up. And that's what I think electronic music, the movement of techno, the movement of raves, was about. Let's come together, celebrate. Some people only celebrate, but some of us want to create and make the world a better place. And that's sort of what we shared. Sure. You guys did parties. Of course, let's celebrate.
But get connected with people. I mean, it's an open party.
Yeah.
Share it. I mean, you're invited, but
So yeah,
when we finished when we finished the open race in the 90s,
yeah,
when at the beginning when it was a few couples of thousand people, I mean, we always said with the mic, I mean, if some of you want to collect some trash, we have this
many parties.
bags, and why don't you help us to leave this place as we receive it, because that's the way we can say thank you to the city.
Courtesy.
That's right. And a lot of people stay there for hours picking trash and help us to clean the space, and that's something magic, because it was not plain. I mean, it was super
and there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong for the people. I paid, I'm not going to clean the garbage. Fine, you have every right, and you're not wrong. However, I think it's nice humanity when, like, look, we had a good time, and let's pick up our plastic.
Sure.
You know, at a beach, look, pick up your plastic. Why throw junk? Keep it in your pocket. Why destroy the community? Think of if you have kids or future friends, why would you destroy a beach? Because I'm going to piss on the beach because I'm going to be the last one to enjoy the beauty. I think that's wrong. It doesn't take extra energy to be a good person.
That's
picking
right.
up your garbage.
And if you have that attitude, you are.
I respect people like that more, but it's not wrong. I'm a customer. You clean my garbage. I go to a hotel. I think of my mother. So I don't destroy the hotel because I'm thinking my mother cleaned hotels.
Sure.
So I'm not going to be an asshole rock star to the lady who cleans the hotel.
I always see people
that.
who have maybe some humble origin, and they try to show in social media like they were like superstars, and they don't have even done nothing yet. I mean,
they're not
weird.
wrong, but I disagree because I think you can be a better human. And,
sure.
But you know what? There are days where, like, I pay you, pick up my trash, carry my suitcase. I prefer not, because every day is the difference. You know, if you go to the toilet, you should wipe your own ass. But if you're rich, you can have someone wipe your ass. But for
the
me,
thing is, I think even if you're rich or not, I mean, you can be. You can be part of the people who raise the energy of the world. I mean, it's
community.
That's the thing, huh? I mean,
community is so important. Yeah.
You were obviously recognized as a super DJ with Richie Hawtin with +8, and then you get connected with this breakthrough and this new paradigm of playing digital music, who now is a standard, of course.
Yeah.
And then when we speak, when we are with our friends here in Chile, you always are doing business, investing. How did you learn that, and how did you connect it with that, as maybe not as a DJ or electronic music figure, but more than a businessman? How?
So we when we sold Beatport in 2013, we started a fund. So we continued to invest in music technology. We were early investors in companies called Splice, Lander, a company called Endel, which is all from Berlin. About health and well-being, AI, which many people need, part of the different people searching different ways to relax. So on top of that, because I love the world, I'm always open to hearing people's projects. So it was at the time as I became great friends with Felipe, and his group, because I think it was like 7-8 years ago I was coming and working for that group. I think the group was Pandora, right?
Mm-hmm.
With
Felipe Pandora.
But all the guys, we had some amazing parties, with his friends, Mauricio, with everyone was a lovely group. And then Felipe, one time we came and we went. The second time I went with Felipe de Valparaiso. And he took me, he said, okay, then we're going to go to San Pedro. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. I was supposed to go, to Arica 25 years ago, but I never went to the Atacama. So, Felipe, I would love to go to San Pedro. So then we went and we had an amazing time. And then COVID happened. And Felipe one day is like, hey, man, I know it's COVID and we cannot travel, but there's a chance to do something. He wanted to do some kind of project. And it turned out to be La Yareta, the cultural house. And it's a combination of hostel, but we support local artists. We have art. And I'm like, Felipe, how can I be part of this? What a lovely idea. To go to a community and be part of the community and not just go, we're going to buy it and I want to make a hotel and this desert needs luxury because these people, I'm not a conquistador. I don't come to change the fucking world. I try to make it better, but respect where I am. So Felipe has that heart, and I love we all have this component, and I love the balance of Chile because Chile is creative. Look, I know it's left and right, but I have a head, so my left and right hand is balanced with my head because you have to think. But so I'm not afraid of politics and that, but I like to create, and so I'm super happy to have done that project. And then, I'm coming here for that, and then of course, as I properly reconnect, and when we connected, and then Felipe is reintroducing me to all the friends in San Pedro. So we properly finally connected in San Pedro, hanging out. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm starting to understand all the times. You're the same Zikuta. Carlos is Zikuta is like, sometimes it's the same thing with my friend Wask, who does all the sound. I met him ages ago, DJ Wask, but I remember him as DJ Wask. And then people are talking about Andres. And I'm like, and finally, I'm like, it's the same person because an email and a face. Sometimes so Felipe helped me connect everyone correctly, and then of course with Cianuro with the book, of course, and he's like, well, you read it? Wow, what a pleasure! Thank you. Of course. So Felipe, I think, was really helpful in buying this little place, and I'm inviting my really, really close friends. You know them, but they're going to stay here. So Felipe was super smart in going, John, pay attention to the friends who are your friends, except they're my friends. Remember them this time, But that's when we became close. Because at a party with whatever it was, 1,000 people.
Well, that's
hello, goodbye.
I know. You can't really get connected with people.
So Felipe, this cultural house is more than a cultural house. It's a house of coming together. And so, so Felipe was very important in Chile because of all of these things. Here I am, and exploring more projects. And so a pleasure to actually talk about it and show the world, my passion, my friendship, and it's wonderful.
Today you will leave Santiago with 2 bags full of
books and a smile.
Books and a smile. So what's next? What's coming in your agenda? I mean, it's like you are helping Capitan Cianuro to share this book in English in Europe, Barcelona, Ibiza. Yeah. Who knows where more? I mean, it's something that is developing.
So Cianuro inspired me a lot because I was thinking, I stood away from the DJ tour. I love playing, but I don't want to play the tour. I'm not happy right now with techno or tech house. I think a lot of the electronic music is almost like it's too autocratic. It's too heavy. I like a more looseness. I feel, and I want to be more free rhythmically. And for those of you who've heard me, I play dance music, but I play almost like I'm influenced by the artist of the magical realism of authors. And I can be trendy, but I want to go away from the zeitgeist. That's why I like the desert. That's why I think I'm going to like Valparaiso. And so Cianuro inspired me because of the history you guys promoting, and then he tells me the history of doing books, and then I was fascinated because I want to share my thinking, my stories. So it was a pleasure to see all this and to work with them, and we did an amazing event in November, with Luciano and Claudia and Pascal. And, wow, amazing. And so that inspired me, and I'm here trying to plan and we're going to work on my sort of not version of Euphoria, but the parties I was at in the 90s, and a little bit like Euphoria, but my experience of the world in the first 10 years. And so working with him because I want to tell stories in English and Spanish. One day, and today I'm sorry for speaking all English, but I'm practicing my Spanish, and sometimes it's good with pisco sours, and so I want to start telling my story, and I believe for me, reflection of the past is not a story about I was there and I did this. It's more like what I saw as I was part of the world, and so I'm inspired, and we're working on a project as a follow-up, because helping promote this book and then me writing about reflections together, with Cianuro. So we sort of have that plan, and I want to just start to write more. So he's, a good mentor. So in Chile, I found all of these things and all these people that not all the places I go to have all of this. I think Chile is small, but it's very inspiring. And look, in every city, people complain about how boring it is, or how... I think that Euphoria made everyone come back together a little or a lot for the better. And it's nice to be, again, part of that moment. And I find inspiration. And I love working with my friends here. I can work anywhere in the world, but I find all of the right elements of the ability to talk, the ability to create, and the ability to be inspired, and share occasionally musical stories, which I want to play more and more. Only special parties, so stay tuned and pay attention for what we say.
So this weekend was the first time, or maybe not the first time, I mean, it was the first time you went to this new place that also Felipe has discovered, to have a new place in Valparaiso. How was the experience yesterday? I mean,
yesterday we were lost in time. So look, I know the story a bit. So look, I know Valparaiso has had better days, but again, I use the example of Detroit, and from the ashes of even Berlin, I think there's a hope. Yes, Viña Mar is amazing. There are beautiful places, but I gravitate to the simple places because it just gives me, like, it brings things down to zero. A lot of artists, I'm the kind of artist that likes things to be base, not the luxury of writing in my penthouse in Ibiza, going to a villa party every week, because I cannot have the separation of what is required for my reflections instead of party. Like, to me, that's not inspiring or creative in the way I want to use words. And I am impacted by a lot of the evolution of the art under heavy hands of South America. As I discovered Borges, and I'm really into Borges and the magical realism. He's really the father. He never won a Nobel Prize. Marquez Garcia, I went to his house and I was very, Isabel Allende, like all of these people. And for me, the oppression right now, for me, it's in my mind. I feel oppressed by a lot of tech house, a lot of techno. It's aggressive, and como muere lentamente. He who does not travel, who does not talk to strangers, who does not listen to music or change the color of his clothes, dies slowly. And I don't want to belong to any cult that only does one thing. But I'm not insulting people saying it's a cult. I just don't want to do only one thing in my life and be part of one group that only lives for techno or tattoos or doing one thing. Life is about everything. Or I don't like whatever. I don't like reading.
People when you pick up a dogma and you stay in that position, you kill yourself. I mean, slowly.
Muere lentamente.
Sí.
It's a great poem. Look it up.
It's so. Well, Valparaiso, it's like a cable to the ground. I mean, it's like it has that cold and structural.
It's a harsh reality of better days.
And then you have all this poetry, in the hills. I mean, in the all the graffitis and the really good art. I mean, there's some super good art, and then the humble elevator that gives you a lift to the moon. I mean, it's like weird and only 100 cents. I mean, it's
amazing,
crazy. So it's like a really magic place with a lot of contrasts, and people are most of the time. I mean,
it's simple, but
simple and really, really. I mean, open. I mean, I cannot. I mean, the last time I went there when we were making all the move there to leave the apartment with all the stuff ready.
Thank you for that.
Don't tell me. I mean, it was
looks good.
super tight with that. But it was like a mission.
¿Te va con el ascensor?
We did it.
O con un carro como...
We have a small pickup.
Amazing.
But you know what? Try to park
too much private information, but yes.
Try to park that camioneta in the hills was like crazy. I mean, it's like, okay. that was super personal. Nobody will understand that. So now you're going back, and Manuel Capitán Cianuro will also pick the plane. And what's the plan right now? Where will you meet?
I connected him with my good friends. I didn't know this, but we were talking earlier. 23 April is the Festival of San Jordi, but it's also related to books. And so he's going to Europe, and I'm like, okay, we do something in Ibiza because there's a conference, and we organized a wonderful, I think, will be a wonderful event on the beach where we play some music. We'll have a table, much like, the events, whether he has a table at
the same day of San Jordi.
No,
that's in Barcelona.
The week before, he's going to be with friends, and he's going to discover San Jordi, and then we have a nice event on the beach in Ibiza, the weekend of the opening. But in the day, on the beach at a nice club where we play music, talk about the book, and then we'll do a radio show maybe with Luciano or another DJ, because there's many. I'm not in touch with the new generation. I believe so. So Manuel's like, I probably know them. I'm sure I know him, but we're going to spend good time together.
Francisco is
so we organized a few events, and then we're going to meet, see what random things happen. We have a couple of events, and then the rest happens, right? Come to this, come to that. So it's going to be a very interesting April.
I know. It will be good. And I am super grateful to have you here. Maybe if you want to say, we are on time. You have to go to the airport.
Yeah.
So.
But I hope to be, I want to start coming regularly. And luckily I made a promise, and I really want to do this new project. Try to, get help writing my version of some stories. So I have many reasons to be back. And then I really want to do some more parties. For those of you who are at, el lanzamiento del libro, pasamos bien. ¿Cuál es el club que vamos por la fiesta?
Where? In City Hall?
Club.
In Barcelona?
No.
Santa Romeo.
Santa Romeo.
Okay. Please open it again.
City Hall. I want to do a party because, it was a long time.
We have to speak with the mayor of the city because it's closed right now.
So I know. Bad. But I want to do some music and just stay connected with our friends here. So we'll see you soon. For those of you in Chile, we always do surprise pop-up parties in San Pedro. Maybe we'll do something about Preso, but I want to do something in Santiago. I have friends.
I didn't thought about.
So let's organize something.
Sounds good.
We can do. But it's not like a rave.
The spot is perfect.
We're going to share music with people like we do.
Okay.
So I'm going to be around and say hello, come by. Most of our parties, it's not about charging money. Look, there's big parties, but I will do some small parties with our friends, and so I'm excited to do this and that. So thank you for the opportunity to share what I really think.
So you were right. The pisco sour did good. You opened yourself a lot.
Too much sugar. You guys put too much mayonnaise on your food. Now I'm going to complain about Chile. You eat too much mayonnaise and you have too much sugar in your drinks. Other than that, I love Chile.
Perfecto. Bueno, too good. Muchas gracias, John. Y
gracias.
Obviamente que esta entrevista tenía que hacerse en inglés porque era muy complicada.
I can't be always happy. I have to complain.
Pero muchas gracias por todo y de verdad espero que les haya gustado esta conversación. Yo encuentro que estuvo muy divertida y obviamente que si no entendieron ni un carajo pueden poner los subtítulos en YouTube, es automático. Por el momento les doy las gracias por todo y espero,
más pastillas, porfa.
Espero que sigamos en estas entrevistas que están súper entretenidas. Muchas gracias a todos. Chao.
Gracias.
Bring the next bill.
¿Dónde están las pastillas? Por favor, road manager. Well, is that?
Sí, dale.
Bueno, ¿no?
No, perfecto.